Two sensors, almost the same symptoms, but replacing the wrong one can waste hundreds of dollars. Today, I'll show you exactly how each sensor works, where it's located, how to tell them apart, and how to diagnose them correctly. Before we compare the MAP sensor and the MAF sensor, we need to answer one simple question. What does air have to do with fuel? Every engine control unit, or ECU, must know exactly how much air is entering the engine, because once it knows the amount of air, it can calculate the correct amount of fuel to inject. It's all about maintaining the perfect air-to-fuel ratio. But if that calculation becomes inaccurate, even by a small amount, the engine will start behaving in strange ways. You may notice rough idling, poor acceleration, higher fuel consumption, hesitation, or even a check engine light. This is exactly why modern engines rely on two different sensors, the MAF sensor and the MAP sensor. They may seem similar, but they work in completely different ways. Let's start with the MAF sensor, which stands for Mass Air Flow Sensor. As its name suggests, this sensor measures the amount of air entering the engine. You'll usually find it installed between the air filter box and the throttle body, so every bit of air entering the engine has to pass through it first. Inside the sensor is a very thin heated wire, commonly called a hot wire. As air flows across this wire, it cools it down. The more air that passes through the sensor, the cooler the wire. The sensor constantly monitors this change and sends the information to the engine control module. Using that data, the ECU knows exactly how much air is entering the engine and calculates the correct amount of fuel needed for efficient combustion. Now, let's talk about the MAP sensor, which stands for Manifold Absolute Pressure Sensor. Unlike the MAF sensor, the MAP sensor isn't installed in the air intake tube. Instead, it's mounted directly on the intake manifold, where it measures the air pressure and the engine vacuum inside the manifold. The lower the pressure, the higher the vacuum, and the higher the pressure, the more air is entering the engine. But here's something many people don't know. The MAP sensor doesn't measure the amount of air directly. Instead, it sends the pressure reading to the engine control module. Then the ECU combines that information with the engine speed and the intake air temperature sensor to calculate how much air is actually entering the engine. So, unlike the MAF sensor, which measures airflow directly, the MAP sensor estimates it using pressure, engine speed, and air temperature. Now that you understand how both sensors work, let's compare them side by side. The MAF sensor measures the actual amount of air flowing into the engine. The MAP sensor measures the air pressure inside the intake manifold. The MAF sensor is installed before the throttle body. The MAP sensor is mounted directly on the intake manifold. The MAF sensor measures airflow directly. The MAP sensor calculates the airflow indirectly using pressure, engine speed, and air temperature. The MAF sensor is very sensitive to air leaks that happen after the sensor because that extra air enters the engine without being measured. The MAP sensor is much less affected by intake leaks before the throttle body, but it can be affected by vacuum leaks at the intake manifold because those leaks change the pressure reading. Even though both sensors help the ECU calculate the correct amount of fuel, they do it in completely different ways. That's why a problem with either one can produce very similar symptoms, even though the cause is completely different. Now, let's look at one of the biggest differences between these two sensors, air leaks. Let's start with the MAF sensor. Imagine the air follows this path: air filter, MAF sensor, air leak, throttle body. In this case, some air enters the engine after passing the MAF sensor. That extra air is never measured. As a result, the ECU injects less fuel than the engine actually needs, creating a lean air-fuel mixture. Now let's look at the MAP sensor. The MAP sensor doesn't measure airflow directly. Instead, it measures the pressure inside the intake manifold. Because of that, an air leak before the throttle body usually has little or no direct effect on the MAP sensor reading. However, a vacuum leak at the intake manifold or anywhere after the throttle body changes the manifold pressure. When that happens, the MAP sensor sends incorrect pressure information to the ECU, and the calculated airflow becomes inaccurate. This is one of the most common points of confusion between the MAF sensor and the MAP sensor. Now, here's another interesting fact. Not every vehicle uses both sensors. Some engines use only an MAF sensor, others rely only on an MAP sensor, and many modern vehicles use both sensors together. So why would an engine need both? The MAF sensor measures the actual amount of air entering the engine. The MAP sensor measures the pressure inside the intake manifold. By comparing the information from both sensors, the ECU can verify that the readings make sense. If one sensor begins to provide inaccurate data, the ECU can often detect the difference and store a diagnostic trouble code. Using both sensors also helps the engine deliver better fuel economy, smoother performance, and lower emissions. So if you open the hood and find both an MAF sensor and an MAP sensor on your engine, don't assume one of them is unnecessary. Each sensor has its own job, and together they help the engine run more accurately. Both the MAF sensor and the MAP sensor can cause almost the same symptoms when they fail. These symptoms may include rough idle, poor acceleration, high fuel consumption, black smoke from the exhaust, engine hesitation, hard starting, limp mode, and of course a check engine light. But here's the interesting part. Even though both sensors can produce very similar symptoms, there are a few clues that can help you figure out which one is actually causing the problem. If an engine runs noticeably better after unplugging the MAF sensor, there's a good chance the MAF sensor is providing incorrect airflow readings. On the other hand, if a scan tool shows unrealistic intake manifold pressure, or the pressure doesn't change normally as you open the throttle, the MAP sensor becomes the primary suspect. That's why you should never diagnose either sensor based on symptoms alone. Always confirm the problem with proper testing. Now, let's look at the live data. This is one of the easiest ways to tell whether a sensor is working properly without removing a single part. If you're checking an MAF sensor, look at the airflow reading while the engine is idling. On most gasoline engines, you should normally see somewhere between 2 and 7 grams per second. Keep in mind that this value depends on the engine's size. A small 4-cylinder engine will usually have a lower reading than a larger V6 or V8 engine. Now, let's check the MAP sensor. With the engine off and the ignition on, the MAP sensor should read very close to the atmospheric pressure because there's no engine vacuum. Once the engine starts and reaches idle, the reading will usually drop to somewhere between 25 and 40 kilopascals, depending on the engine and your altitude above sea level. If either sensor shows values that are clearly outside these normal ranges, that's a strong indication that further testing is needed before replacing any parts. Now, let's answer another common question. Can these sensors be cleaned, or do they have to be replaced? Let's start with the MAF sensor. Yes, in many cases, it can be cleaned successfully, but there's one very important rule. Only use an MAF sensor cleaner. Never use brake cleaner, carburetor cleaner, or any other type of solvent, because they can permanently damage the sensitive hot wire inside the sensor. Now let's talk about the MAP sensor. The MAP sensor can also be cleaned, but it must be handled with extreme care. Avoid using sharp tools or touching the sensing element directly. A gentle spray with the proper cleaner is usually all that's needed before reinstalling the sensor. Remember, cleaning may solve the problem if the sensor is contaminated, but if the sensor has failed electronically, cleaning it won't fix the issue. Before we finish, let's go over some of the most common mistakes people make when dealing with these sensors. One of the biggest mistakes is cleaning an MAF sensor with brake cleaner, carburetor cleaner, or any other harsh solvent. Doing that can permanently damage the hot wire inside the sensor. Another common mistake is touching the sensing element with your fingers or with a cloth. The sensing element is extremely delicate, and even a small amount of contamination or physical contact can affect its accuracy. Another mistake is replacing the sensor before checking for air leaks. A vacuum leak or an intake leak can produce symptoms that look exactly like a faulty MAF or MAP sensor. If the leak isn't repaired first, the new sensor may not solve the problem at all. And finally, avoid buying the cheapest aftermarket MAF sensor you can find. Poor quality sensors often provide inaccurate readings right out of the box, causing the same drivability problems you're trying to fix. A proper diagnosis will always save you more money than replacing parts based on guesswork. Now, let me show you a simple diagnostic sequence that can save you both time and money. Let's say your engine has poor acceleration, rough idle, or the check engine light is on. Don't replace the sensor immediately. Start by scanning the vehicle for diagnostic trouble codes. If you find a code such as P0111, P0102, P0103, P0105, P0106, P0107, or P0108, don't assume the sensor is bad. Your next step should be checking for vacuum leaks or intake air leaks. If no leaks are found, look at the live data from the sensor and compare it with the normal values. If the readings seem incorrect, try cleaning the sensor using the proper cleaner. Then clear the fault codes and test drive the vehicle again. If the same problem returns and all other possible causes have already been eliminated, only then should you replace the sensor. Following this simple diagnostic process can prevent unnecessary repairs and save you from replacing parts that were never faulty in the first place. Now you know these two sensors may cause almost the same symptoms, but they work completely differently. And now you'll know exactly which one to test first instead of replacing parts randomly.